We interrupt this program to bring you... Gather round, children. Let me tell you a tale of the olden times. A time called the 1900s. This was a time where you had to take a cab instead of an Uber because they didn't exist. You had to stay at a hotel instead of an Airbnb because that didn't exist. And a time where you had to watch a TV show when it aired instead of any time you wanted on streamers because only two existed. But back in 1996, there was a show that taught kids about kindness, compassion, and dare I say, bravery. But it also haunted our dreams and nightmares for years to come. And that show was called... Sorry, kids. We'll have to talk more tomorrow, right here at Somewhere Elementary. I love my job. We first met Courage the Cowardly Dog in 1996, which was a wild freaking year. For real. You want a little taste? A little sample platter? A little amuse bouche, if you will? You ready to find out and see? You ready? Let's do it. Okay, let's do it. Hey Arnold premiered. Dexter's Lab premiered. Friends was in season 2. Super Mario 64 came out. Pokemon Red and Green came out. Tomb Raider, Resident Evil, Crash frickin' Bandicoot, Spice Girls Wannabe, Backstreet Boys and NSYNC were about to go global. The Macarena was topping the charts. Space Jam, Independence Day. What a year. As a very young child, I was equally excited and terrified to watch one of Cartoon Network's newest shows.
Mostly because every episode had a villain, and every villain was horrifying to me. They may not seem scary now, but let's go back in time
just a little bit to 2010.
Prior to 2010, we didn't really have scary TV shows, at least not ones that had a big enough budget to really convince the viewer that what they were seeing was actually scary.
Sure, there were shows and TV movies like Goosebumps. Shout out to The Haunted Mask.
Are You Afraid of the Dark, Buffy, and Supernatural, which is currently in its 87th season. But it wasn't until AMC came out with The Walking Dead that everything changed.
I remember thinking there's no way that they can put together a weekly zombie show. They would need a movie budget, like 28 Days Later, or 28 Weeks Later, or 27 Dresses, which still terrifies me. But I was wrong.
The Walking Dead blazed a trail for other iconic horror TV shows like American Horror Story and, like, so many others.
Look at this graphic. It's like the most generic versions of people you might know from Scary Things, but also like Spooky House and Chainsaw. Terrifying. And now, as a 30-something-year-old kid trapped in an adult body with adult expectations and responsibilities for some reason, why is this show pulling me back in? Well, one day my kid came up to me and gave me this dog sticker because it was from that show that I used to watch when I was a kid. Too many air quotes.
Sticker in hand, I opened up HBO Max and set out on a journey of nostalgia.
But spoiler alert, what I actually ended up with was a shocking discovery that clearly I've been struggling with anxiety since the show came out, and maybe it's because of the show that I cannot stop that existential and consistent and constant feeling of dread and fear and worry all the time. Stay tuned to see how it all went wrong.
Courage the Cowardly Dog debuted on Cartoon Network as a series in 1999 after the original short called The Chicken from Outer Space aired as a part of What a Cartoon.
I never really liked the What a Cartoon show, so all of these are kind of foreign to me. If you've ever seen or heard of these, tell me which one and if it was any good. But since I had never seen What a Cartoon, really, I'd never seen this short until now. And it was pretty good.
Basically, we meet Courage, Muriel, and Eustace in their isolated home in the middle of nowhere. We even get the iconic Ooga Booga Booga mask within the first 60 seconds of the short. a solid start. A large spaceship arrives to drop off an ominous duck, or chicken, or whatever this is, who takes the place of the normal Earth chickens, laying its creepy space eggs in the chicken coop. Muriel cooks them up because she doesn't know what a normal freaking egg is supposed to look like, and she serves them to her husband Eustace as the space chicken watches like a creepy neighbor through the window. The space eggs turn Eustace into a space chicken as Courage kills the space chicken by launching a rock at its head, beating him at chess, and even ripping his little wing off. But it wasn't until Courage beat the space chicken at the ultimate game of see who can hold their breath the longest that sends the space chicken packing to Mars, or Albany. Same diff, really. Space Chicken pulls out a very confusing gun that turns planes into toys, volcanoes into Easter Island statues, and apparently Space Chickens into Fortnite wins, baby! Thankfully, Courage has the great idea to use this blaster on Chicken Eustace, turning him into a pile of dust. Damn, we just killed him. On the merit of this short, which earned an Academy Award nomination, Courage got a series order and premiered on Cartoon Network in 1999.
Same year as Tony Hawk, baby.
As a kid, Fridays were the best, not just because it was finally the weekend, mostly because it was finally the weekend, but also because I knew that it was time for Cartoon Fridays. A collection of my favorite cartoons, back to back to back to back, baby. A block of multiple hours created specifically for a kid just like me. This Friday was something special, because it was the series premiere of Mike, Lou, and Og.
Except nobody cares about that show, including me. It's some real, stayed home from school, sick, have to watch something kind of show. I put it right next to Camp Laszlo. Real bummer.
And another series called Courage the Cowardly Dog. As I sat down to rewatch the first episode and relive my childhood memories, I was surprised,
No.
shocked,
No.
befuddled,
Possibly.
to find that the first episode of Courage was not the same creepy spider motel episode like I remembered. It was actually the shadow of Courage and Dr. LeQuack, amnesia specialist. But after a little bit of beep-a-boop-boop-boop research,
I found out that my memory was right and HBO Max was wrong. Shocker.
the first episode to air was the one I was thinking of, and it was called A Night at the Cat's Motel.
Also, HBO Max dumping most of their kids' programming right in the middle of me making this video has made things significantly more inconvenient. Significantly less convenient. The convenience is significantly gone to your butt.
This episode will always be burned into my memory, especially this part where this giant nasty ass spider comes out of the bathtub faucet. Gah! As a kid, we all had the same fear. Eel coming up from the toilet, spider in the bathtub,
Murderer coming into your house and specifically coming to murder you, but you knew if you stayed totally still, maybe he would think you were asleep or you weren't worth killing, or someone came in before and already finished the job before he could get there.
Man, somebody beat me to it.
This spider image was so scary and real life possible to me as a kid that I even told my math tutor about it. She didn't care, but she did make me read a story about botulism, which was just as scary as any Courage episode I have ever seen. Any of you 70s, 80s, 90s babies out there remember this story? Two people ate soup from a dented can. One ate a whole bowl, one ate a spoonful. The one who ate the whole bowl died, and the one who ate the spoonful just got really sick. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who read this, but I still can't even drink a dented soda can in fear that today might be the day that botulism kills me. But I digress.
As I binged the entire first season, I was struck by just how many iconic villains there were that are still great today. Freaky Fred, who's feeling a little bit naughty. The decaying zombie course director. And who could forget King Ramses himself telling us to return the slab. After 13 two-parters, I started to realize some major truths and reoccurring themes that still resonate in my life today.
I know I should bury the lead here, but I'm just gonna jump right in. While Courage the Cowardly Dog may have catalyzed my anxiety as a child, it also helped calm it. And that's because it showed me a representation of a world that was simpler than my own.
Sure, there were pigs threatening to turn me into diner menu items, and of course there was the occasional Bigfoot breaking in for a late-night food fight, but none of that was anxiety-provoking. It was mostly a lot of fun. And there's something about Courage's world that just makes me wish we could go back in time. Being inside his simple, humble house really makes you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. It reminds you of what it was like to be a kid without a cell phone or a way to even communicate with your friends or people outside your home. The only way Courage got information was from the TV or from the computer in the attic. There was no texting, no calling. You really were isolated. In the real world, we transitioned very quickly from the excitement of instant communication to the anxiety of instant and on-demand expectations via texts, calls, and emails.
In fact, I have precisely 0 notifications on my phone other than the ones that are absolutely required, and all of that is because of my anxiety. I want to just live my life. I don't want to stop any and everything that I'm doing at any given second just because someone randomly calls or texts me. They can wait, is what I tell myself as I slowly but consistently spiral into panic until I text them back. When I was a kid, if I wanted to get online, I'd have to go to Blockbuster.
Get 100 hours of AOL on a disc that you could use at home, and even then, all you could do was check your email, go on websites, and AIM instant message with your friends if they happen to be online. Courage reminded me of how much I long for the times where we could just exist in our houses without knowing what every other human on the planet was doing. I miss watching shows as they aired and doing other things when I knew nothing was on TV. Now, everything is available all the time. There's something about Courage's empty, simple house and decor that feels peaceful, even when one of your parents randomly turns into a demon out of nowhere. We all have one of those, right? Look at this living room. There's like 2 chairs and a TV, and that's like basically it. While I'd hate that aesthetic in real life, seeing it in cartoon form makes me long for the simplicity of just existing.
I think that's why so many of us go to the mountains for vacation, because it's a chance to escape that constantly tethered reality that we were all forced into. Maybe it's because I grew up as 2 very unhealthy things: a peacekeeper in my chaotic and oftentimes divorcing family, and a people pleaser who could not and still cannot self-validate and relies mostly on the opinions of other people to make sure that he knows that he's good enough, that he's doing enough, and most importantly, that he's not in trouble. Essentially, Trixie Tang. But that's who Courage is, too.
Keeping the peace between a grumpy, mean father figure, trying to keep safe and appease his comforting mother figure, all in the midst of some crisis that's threatening to burn it all down.
God, I am this dog.
This brave little guy also feels like a representation of many of us in adulthood. Most of us just feeling like kids stuck in adults' bodies, expected to understand and navigate the real world with relatively no help.
It's terrifying, exciting, sometimes immobilizing, and so much more.
Courage is constantly in a state of worry and anxiety.
Much like me.
Yet he always protects his family, even and almost always at the expense of himself.
Is it possible that I see Courage in an aspirative light? Like, do I look up to this terrified dog? Or is Courage a representation of some very real parts of me and of you that maybe we haven't dealt with from childhood? I guess Courage and I are essentially the same thing. Peacekeepers, people pleasers, and relentless warriors. But underneath it all, there's a constant hope that even in the moments that seem the hardest, eventually things can and will get better. As long as you don't have people in your life whose only goal is to make your life worse, then things can and will get better. Right? We made it this far, buddy.